Part of the reason why so many people have given up in American society is because they feel trapped. They don't see a way out. The cost of living is just overwhelming. It's getting completely out of hand. Everything is just too expensive. Even things that are supposed to be low end are just pricing regular people out of the market. Housing, for example, is one of the big things, but we're now seeing articles saying that, oh, well, it's cheaper to rent than a home. Well, yeah, because everything is so damn expensive. Because insurance, car insurance, housing insurance, everything has gone up so much. The cost of wood to fix things, the cost of services, everything has gone up. It's created a ripple effect because all these basic resources cost more. Now people are going to charge, they got to pay more to get these resources to offer services, and it's just a big ripple effect. Services and everything is going up, and as a result, owning a house is just way more expensive than renting. And when you look at the 50 top metropolitan areas in the United States of America, it is cheaper to rent a house than it is to actually buy a house. And when you look at bank rate, the survey by bank rate, 21 metros, in 21 of these metropolitan areas, the cost of owning a house is 50% or greater than the cost of renting a house. It's absolutely insane. These are big, big numbers. For example, in February, if somebody owned a $412,000 home, they were basically expected to pay $2,700 in their mortgage versus a typical rent of somewhere around $2,000. So $725 difference, but it ends up being a $8,600 difference at the end of the year. That's huge. I mean, because you got to calculate the cost of fixing things, the taxes, and all this stuff all together. And when you rent, you just call maintenance. That's their problem. But when you're the owner, it's all on you. Now, some areas like Detroit and Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, the gap wasn't as big. But when you look at a lot of these metros, the gap in the cost between owning and renting is getting even bigger and bigger and bigger. So a lot of people just can't keep up. It's just getting completely out of hand. And if the government doesn't do something about this, they're going to have cultural, societal collapse on an even bigger scale. We're going to have much bigger issues than what we have even today. I mean, crime is going to become an even bigger issue. A lot of people just giving up because it just seems like, why go to work and work extra hard when you're never going to get ahead? That's what a lot of people are thinking at this point. And I'm not saying it's the right thing to think of, but people don't have a pension anymore. This is all related. It's all related. When you look at the declining birth rates, the declining marriage rates, people have a lot less to lose, and people just don't feel as invested in their community anymore. Something's going to have to give because there's going to be a major backlash. If this continues, there's going to be a major, major backlash. And I think you have a situation where the middle class is evaporating. You have a very small group of people controlling most of the resources, and you're going to have everybody else getting pissed off at that small group. And that small group is probably going to take action to deal with everybody else. I'm not going to get into any depth into how that's going to go about, but I think we're going to end up in a situation where there's going to be a war. War is going to be used as a means to create famine, to create disease, to dramatically reduce that population, because if not, there's going to be a backlash between the globalist elite and everybody else, because people are being put in a vice grip. They're being squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. There's going to be a backlash, or the powers that be are going to have to make a move. The way things are going, it's just not sustainable. So wars will be part of it. I'm absolutely convinced of that. And speaking of wars, let's talk a little bit about the India-Pakistan situation. What happens when two countries with nuclear weapons go to war? What is it going to take for one of those countries to use a nuclear weapon? And once one country uses a nuclear weapon, does it just mean there's going to be an all-out war, all-out nuclear war between those two countries? Well, we've never really seen two nuclear powers have a kinetic war, but we may end up seeing that with India and Pakistan. India and Pakistan have had a dispute over Kashmir, over certain territory, for a while, a long while, decades. I remember watching this movie Vertical Limit, where they were talking about where they're talking about the conflict between the two. The movie just focused on K2, but anyway, it was just mentioned in that movie. So that was an older movie too. So India and Pakistan, they've had some beef for a long time, and now we have a situation where India retaliates against Pakistan. There was a terrorist attack 2 weeks ago. India they had a strike against Pakistan, and now there's a talk of this. Pakistan said it was unprovoked, and this is an act of war, a blatant act of war. So they end up going to war. Who's gonna stop? Who's gonna prevent them from using nuclear weapons? Obviously, that's not a goal that most people want, but it's a very real possibility considering the situation. They are both nuclear powers. At one point, Pakistan leadership, or somebody in the leadership, was talking about how they have 120 nuclear weapons pointed, or 130 nuclear weapons pointed at India. These are the type of threats that are being thrown around right now. So if it does happen, and if one side gets to the point where they feel like they're losing, this is a big problem with the nuclear weapons, with nuclear powers going to war. If one side feels like it's losing, they may feel pressure. They may be desperate enough to use nuclear weapons if they feel like they're going to lose. And if that happens, the other side, of course, is likely going to retaliate. If we have dozens of nuclear weapons going off, how's that going to affect neighboring countries? How's that going to affect the economy, the global economy? Since we have this global economy. That's the downside to having a global economy. You have access to a lot of different resources all around the world, but you also become more vulnerable because of events that happen around the world. So this is one of the things I'm keeping my eye on. I don't know if you guys are, but I'm definitely keeping my eye on it. And I'll keep you guys updated.